Welcome back, boys and girls. It is week 7 of the college football season, and therefore it follows that it's week 7 of the Carla and Crappy Show. Not only is it week 7 of those two things, for the second week in a row, we welcome back our very own Ken Jennings in this series of Jeopardy guest hosts. AJ Kuftick is back with us while as Carla continues to learn about to love late night football and late night feedings and all the other stuff that goes with having a new child. Yeah,
very proud to welcome Carla to the After Dark family.
It's how it happened to you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've always been an After Dark sort of. I've always been a late night person.
Sure.
But yes, watching college football very late at night and then having an excuse to do so, it's perfect. So yes. So shout out to Carla. She was texting at like midnight. So shout out to her. Mm-hmm. She was having a great time.
I would point out that I was without any reason to be doing so. I was up that late. I was up until midnight-ish last Saturday as well.
Welcome. And we welcome everyone to the After
and
Dark
that was after getting up at 5:45 to get the tailgate part ready for the Ohio State game that we went to in person. There was a nap. There was a nap in there after I got home.
Yeah, it was like the third or fourth quarter of the Ohio State game, wasn't it?
I need a rim shot. I need a rim shot sound effect that we would put in right there. We start as we always do with a look back. AJ, what was the best thing you saw last weekend?
Can we talk about how almost there were two different fireworks factory explosions? Mm-hmm. There was the noon slot with the Web Wibble Wibblewee that was as stupid as advertised. Hi, we've told you on this show that is the stupidest game of the year, and it lives up to it every single time. It
never, ever disappoints.
And I told you that Arkansas Ole Miss was going to be stupid, and both of these teams wanted to prove something. So we told you that too. Mm-hmm. Just what I'm saying is you should listen to the Carla and Crappy Show, and if your friends don't listen, you should tell them to listen. And if they want to leave a rating, it's 5 stars or get out. Anyways.
Agree.
There were two different periods of like, there was noon and it was like everything's going on and trying to watch Red River and the Arkansas Ole Miss game, and it's just going like back to back explosions going down to the wire on both games, and it just felt like the whole season's happening right now, right? And then the like afternoon slate's generally pretty chill because we had to watch 20 some punts in the Penn State Iowa game. I watched that whole game and I regret every second of it. Thankfully, I have other games on this television so I didn't just see punt after punt.
Right.
Prayers up for Sean Clifford. Otherwise, Penn State. It's going to be a rough rest of the year.
Yeah.
And then the evening slate hits, and we've got Michigan, Nebraska, and Alabama, A&M, and there was a third game that was going off. I can't remember what game it was, but there was I was watching Kentucky LSU and just watching Kentucky run all over LSU, and there's just so much going on.
ND Virginia Tech
Notre Dame
was
Virginia Tech.
That was a fun game too. Fun finish
also
to that one
came
as
out
well.
at the end.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the bottom left corner of my screen was the USC postulate happening yet again. Where USC is at home and then gets whomped by a team that doesn't deserve to whomp them. I don't know why this is. Just throwing this out there. This week is USC at Notre Dame. Good luck, Irish. This might end poorly.
Oh boy, yeah, that's that's interesting.
This is
and
not
if the postulate holds true, that's going to be an ugly game for my friend Gabby.
Yeah, I'm real sorry, Gabby. We've never met. We've never actually talked. You heard my voice mid-show. That's fine.
Yes.
But I'm really sorry. This might end poorly for the Fighting Irish because USC's not at home. Listen, it's the friendly confines of the Coliseum at this point. So yeah, it was the fact that there were two distinct different like periods of, okay, what about this game? What about this game? What about this game? And you had to go multi-screen or games on a screen to even attempt to keep up, and it felt normal and right.
The evening slate felt awesome. My nap coincided like with the first half of Penn State Iowa, so we had the second half of that on while we were having dinner and stuff. And then the evening games. I was at my folks' house, so I'm a little technologically challenged, but I had an iPad, I had a phone, I had picture in picture on the television, and just kind of going back and forth. And it was an absolute ball. Because there were so many that were good that they came down to the end. It was a great evening. I do need to talk about the Buckeyes briefly.
Okay, go ahead. Let's talk about the Bucks.
I am encouraged. I will say that. The offense hasn't been the issue. CJ Stroud is ridiculously poised for someone who has as little experience as he has. 5 touchdown passes. Should have had a 6th. There was an early bomb in the second half that was just barely overthrown. Chris Olave got his fingertips on it and was diving. That was about it. Travian Henderson, the young guy, every bit the tailback that we have been led to believe that he would be. Master Teague is a great change of pace. Mayan Williams is a great change of pace. And there are a couple other guys who are gaining some significant yardage as backups. Offensive line, run blocking has been great. Clean pockets for Stroud, that no doubt has helped him a bunch. But the encouraging thing is how the defense is evolving. The pass coverage schemes have been simplified so the guys can just read and react, and they don't have to think about what they're doing. That's helped. There's a little more consistent pressure on quarterbacks. That's helped. And so it's like the speed, the pace on the defense is getting better. Fun stat, there have been 4 straight games, including last weekend's, that Ohio State's gotten a pick 6. And I think that's sort of indicative of how stuff is changing. It's also indicative, and this is absolutely true, it's also indicative of the level of competition. Although Maryland's got a fun offense, and I thought they would score more than the 17 that they managed on Saturday. And then we got a bye, and then you got Indiana on the road and Penn State at home. Indiana's not the big deal maybe that we thought it would be. Penn State, got to see what happens with Clifford, I think, although they will still have a monster defense coming into Columbus. So a long way to go before I'm happy and things are where I would like them to be. But Saturday seemed to be just another step, incremental progress, and I am pleased as far as that goes.
Can we talk about the Big Ten East scheduling
and how you pointed this out, and it's
no. I didn't even point out the second piece of this.
Okay.
Which is, listen, sometimes people say that sports are rigged and that there is like there's a narrative that needs to be followed or whatever. But the people who scheduled the Big Ten East this year went for narrative. They went for story. They went for the hashtag content, because October 30th is Ohio State Penn State Day, right?
Yes.
Also on October 30th is Michigan State, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got October 30th is like, here's our big 4 all playing each other. So we can grab like big name game in the middle of October.
Yep.
This is the 4, let's call it the 4 teams in the Big Ten East, right? Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
Rip Rutgers, rip Indiana, rip Maryland.
Yeah.
Penn State finishes with Michigan, Rutgers, Michigan State.
Yes.
Ohio State finishes with Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan.
Yes.
Michigan finishes with Penn State, Maryland, Ohio State. And Michigan State finishes with Maryland, Ohio State, Penn State. Basically, the top 4 teams of the Big Ten East will generally play 2 of the other 3 teams in the last 3 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I see what you did here, Big Ten schedule. I'm not an idiot. I see what you've done here. And the fact that they finished the year, so obviously Ohio State, Michigan is last game of the season.
Yep.
But Penn State, Michigan State is also the last game of the season.
Always on the same day. Yes.
So you've got this like 4-way run leading up to the end of the season. So the Big Ten may actually be semi-interesting coming up to the end of this year because the Big 12 continues to shoot itself in the foot. Oklahoma almost made sure the foot came off. And the Pac-12 is an absolute mess. No one, like, Oregon's going to win it, maybe Arizona State, but either way, both of them have one loss.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's just too much happening. And by the way, the ACC is an absolute dumpster fire. Don't even worry about the ACC. They're not getting a team in the playoff. Sorry.
Is there? I'm not going to say best. I'm going to pose this in a different way. Is there a tougher division to win in college football than the Big Ten East?
This year or generally?
This year, right now.
This year, I mean, yeah, it's the SEC West. You have to beat Bama. Like Bama is the Ohio State of the division, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to win the SEC West, you have to get 2 losses out of Bama during the season. Good luck,
mm-hmm.
right? The Big Ten East, there's much more of a intra competition to see if anybody can squeeze a second loss out of Ohio State, because Penn State can jump up and get Ohio State on a relatively regular basis. Mm-hmm. Michigan State and the East Lansing Weather Machine can occasionally get Ohio State. Yes. And Michigan seems this year like they're a relatively competent team.
Right.
So they could also jump up and get Ohio State. Plus, Ohio State has to go play Purdue. Who's to say what can happen there?
That game.
Anyways, I didn't mean to do that. I did mean to do that.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But in this sort of space, like that at Nebraska game for
mm-hmm.
Ohio State.
Mm-hmm. I know. We learned last weekend that is not the terrible team that you would expect to see after watching them for the last few years. Scott Frost
Scott Frost is snake bitten. He's snake bitten. Let's be clear here.
He totally is.
This man is snake bitten because he can't seem to pull out a 1-score game. And that is usually what will likely get him beyond just his record kicked out of Lincoln at some point. But mm-hmm. I think that there's much more parity this year than there usually is. It's usually Ohio State and can anybody go get Ohio State? There's a lot of parity this year, at least talent wise and capability wise. And even the SEC West, Alabama doesn't look Death Star mode. They look
mm-hmm.
They've looked mortal in a couple games, and Texas A&M actually did it.
Hence
the
Aggies,
which means that Nick Saban gets to glow because he finally gets to be mad about things, and he doesn't have to make it up. He can just be mad about it,
and that's frightening.
Y'all gonna die.
Oh yeah, R.I.P. SEC West. Everybody else in the SEC West. It's not going to be fun for the rest of the season. We are going to jump in. We do this every year in one weekend when it seems appropriate. And I thought this would be a good one to do. We're going to jump into full-time after dark group of 5 mode. We're going to start before I turn AJ loose. We're going to start with your Cornell's Big Red Bears report. AJ watched part of this game.
I watched the whole game.
Did you watch the whole game?
Okay. I watched the whole game.
Frustrating. Oh man. They go on the road to Harvard. They have the Big Red is yet to win a game. Tied at 10 at halftime.
Yeah.
And even after giving up a long TD in the third quarter, Cornell hung on.
That's when I started watching the game. Whoops. That's when I started. I didn't watch the whole game. I started at that.
Stop.
It was after halftime. Sorry.
But even after that, I mean, it's a 1-score game. Cornell clearly does not have a prolific offense, but they're right there. They're within reach. And there was a late touchdown that kind of put the game away. Encouraging because Harvard's tied for the lead in the conference. But also frustrating. Just can't seem to put together the kind of effort that would get him over the top. The best news for the day: Drew Powell, my nephew, who plays football for Cornell, which is why we're doing this, got his very first play from scrimmage early in the game. He's a blocking back in a short yardage package, so happy to see that. Next up, for the Big Red, hosting non-conference, the Colgate toothpastes at home on Saturday night. AG, do you have any thoughts about that?
No.
Okay. I'm hoping.
Go Big Red. Listen, this is Big Red versus toothpaste. So what we need, this is gum versus toothpaste, and we are cheering against dentistry. That's what we're doing.
Yes. I like it. We
are the 1 out of 5 dentists that say otherwise.
To start, AG is not doing his normal report this week.
No.
Because we have some games that we will talk about. But I wanted to kind of tap his broad knowledge of the group of 5. And I wanted him to let us know there are obviously, this is a topic that's been discussed a lot this season because Cincinnati's in the top 5. Coastal is rolling again. San Diego State has snuck into the top 25. There are several group of 5 ranked teams this year, so they're getting a little attention. I want AJ, I want you to tell us, give us 3 teams not ranked in the G5 that we need to be watching, and why should we be watching them?
I'm going to start with my beloved Bulldogs at Fresno State.
This feels a little like cheating. This feels a little like cheating because
this is a little cheating because they were ranked,
but
they're not ranked now, so I can tell you to watch them anyways.
Yes.
Fresno State, because of Jake Haener, they have an okay defense, but their offense is incredible. Mm-hmm. And Fresno for a while was looking like the team to beat in the Mountain West. They've since kind of fallen back, and San Diego State seems to be the team to beat in the Mountain West because Fresno took that loss to my beloved Rainbow Warriors. But Fresno's been the cardiac kids this year. Mm-hmm. So the problem is that they're usually on late at night. I'm throwing in a bonus game. Fresno is at Wyoming at 3:30 Eastern, which means you can watch Jake Haener during the day. And actually watch that game. That's on FS2 at 3:30. That's so Air Force not Air Force. I just read Air Force. Fresno State at Wyoming.
Okay.
On Fox Sports 2. So you can watch Jake Haener during the day and not have to stay up super late.
That's promising.
So that's good.
I like that.
So there's one. Second, the team of the year last year was Coastal Carolina because it was Coastal, right? Our beloved Beach Chickens.
Yes.
The Shants. This year, Meep. It's the Roadrunners at UTSA.
I was going to be really disappointed if this wasn't one of the 3.
Yes, it's UTSA. They're having an absolute blast. And they play Rice this week at 6 p.m. on ESPN Plus. Check your bundles to see if you have that. Sidebar, ESPN Plus, for the love of God, if you're going to keep shoving games on there, I need more than high school level coverage. It is awful. Watching games on ESPN Plus is brutal. No one's doing color correction. It looks like crap, and I'm mad about it.
The Cornell games, oh wow, it's brutal. It really is. And
the Harvard game actually looked halfway decent.
It looked okay. The folks in the booth I would think would be smarter because it's the Ivy League schools, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it's rough. I love having ESPN Plus that have access to all that stuff.
This is all stuff that used to be on ESPN3. They just put it behind a paywall now. Let's call it what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then finally, I gotta stay in the state of Texas. We gotta go to the moon. UTEP, University of Texas El Paso.
Okay.
Please sleep on your 5-1 UTEP Miners at your own peril. Bowl-bound UTEP, if you'll excuse this. Wow. They play Louisiana Tech this year. Mm-hmm. They still have to play the Meeps. Mm-hmm. But it's entirely plausible that UTEP makes a bowl after previously being Bud. And if they beat UTSA, they have a legit shot to play for the CUSA title. No one saw this coming. I watched UTEP New Mexico State at 10:30. I believe that was week 0.
Okay.
On the stream of a local channel in Las Cruces, Mexico. New Mexico, not Las Cruces, Mexico, in Las Cruces, New Mexico, because
Okay.
they just streamed their entire channel on the internet, and they were like, cool, here's the UTEP game.
Nice.
So yeah, pure sicko mode over here, finding that good WXPF, whatever the channel was, streaming the game on the internet. So yes, UTEP, UTSA, and Fresno State, you should watch them. Bonus team, watch Nevada, because Carson Strong is incredible.
And we're gonna get to Nevada in our future games. But that game sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun. I want to stress one thing. They are not the cool kids quite as much this year. But Coastal is fascinating to watch because of the offense, and it's such a different approach. Explain, please. Like if you're turning on the Beach Chickens for the first time, what are you going to see?
So one, they have a fantastic quarterback in Grayson McCall, who is a sophomore, which is absurd. He was a freshman last year and was absolutely lights out all year long, and that has not changed. The head coach of Coastal Carolina is Jamie Chadwell. Jamie Chadwell's name popped up for a lot of jobs in the offseason because he's running in essence, option offense, like a branch of the triple option, but he's passing out of it the way that you would want to out of an actual like option offense. There's a lot of concepts that came around. Obviously, Urban Meyer and various others made the spread option a popular thing, but it was more read option, right? Where you have the quarterback and the mesh, where he's handing the ball off to the running back, but doesn't actually let go of the ball until he reads the defensive end and tries to see where the defensive end is going, and either pulls it back in to keep it himself or hands it off to the running back and takes the hit from the D end, right? That's basically how the spread option concept works. And then you're spreading out the actual wide receivers so that you don't have cornerbacks and safeties coming down into the box to stop this read. Right. It's trying to put more people on offense and try to flip the numbers in your favor.
Yes.
What Jamie Chadwell and Coastal is doing is, in essence, a different way of bringing in the actual triple option with an H-back and a tailback. So you have a 2-back set with the quarterback. He has full, flip out, wing T sort of capabilities.
Yeah.
But also they're keeping passing inside the offense. So they're still running full route trees too. And this is a really hard offense to try and keep up with because you have to play the option side. So you're playing effectively Army or Navy, where you got to chase somebody around all day, which sucks. Ask Ohio State and any large team who has to play Army or Navy. No one likes doing it. But then you have quarterbacks that are not Army or Navy quarterbacks who throw like 4 or 5 times a game. You have a quarterback who can throw for 300 yards and throw 20 times a game if he has to. Yes. And it's really hard to plan for that. And so it makes this really wide-ranging offense that is likely going to show up in your favorite team's offense within the next 5 years. Coastal's doing it first. So if you want to see somebody who's doing it at its like peak, you need to watch Coastal now.
It's like Dippin' Dots is the offense of the future.
Yes, it is.
It's frustrating for anyone to have to play an option team. As you mentioned, this adds Coastal's offense adds another layer to it. The triple option, I mean, it's a known quantity. It's a pain in the ass to have to scheme, but it's been around forever. And you know what's coming, and if you're disciplined enough and prepared enough, you can handle it. This is a whole different thing, and it's when I got around to watching them last season, it's fascinating, and obviously it is posing problems for the opposing defenses. So that's my bonus. I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget about Coastal. as they're, I don't know the ranking off the top of my head, 15, 16, somewhere in there. But they're continuing to be a player and starting on the run that they had last year. We have three feature games that we're going to talk about. Two of them are actually after dark. One will be at noon, which seems kind of startling, but that's how it goes sometimes. At 10:30 on Friday, San Diego State, number 24, San Diego State at San Jose State. Your fighting Brady Hoax are favored by 9.5, and an over/under that feels like a pretty Midwestern 41 points. What do you think about this one?
So San Diego State is an absolute monster on the ground. They are averaging 244 yards rushing a game. They're not asking their quarterback to do a ton of passing. He's got 389 yards on the year. They are very much a run heavy offense, but because they are built the way that they are, and because the way the most Mountain West teams are built, San Diego State is running over humans. They took Utah to triple overtime and won at home. They just beat New Mexico 31-7. They're just stomping humans. And their rush defense is only allowing 50 yards a game. So they are a Midwestern ass team in San Diego. So good for them. Yeah. San Jose State, I had deep hope. I really did. I was hopeful. They beat Hawaii. They beat they've just not, they're not, party's over. The Nick Starkel party is over. He was having a great 2020, was really bringing San Jose State back into the fold and really bringing them back up. They are 3-3 this year. They have not been nearly as good as they were in 2020. I expect the Aztecs to roll here.
Okay. My myopic tape on this, of course, has everything to do with the guy who used to be the head coach at Michigan. Brady Hoke never really had a
Excuse
chance.
me, you mean the guy who was previously the head coach at San Diego State?
I will get to that. Brady never really had a chance to settle in at Ann Arbor, even though, ladies and gentlemen, there's one head coach at Michigan since Lloyd Carr who has beaten Ohio State, and that was Brady Hoke. I don't know what the Michigan folks wanted from him, but after it was 4 or 5 seasons, they were not happy and couldn't wait to hire a guy from the NFL who can't seem to win a rivalry game to save his life.
They wanted their prodigal son.
Yes. Yeah, they did.
The Michigan story goes like this. Brady Hoke wasn't going to get better than Brady Hoke was at Michigan. He just wasn't going to. It obviously didn't really get time to settle in, but there wasn't anything that came in that said, oh yeah, this is definitely working. He needs more time. It was very clearly like, yep, this is what it is. And a Michigan man does not settle. And so they had to go hire somebody else, and they wanted the most Michigan man possible, which was Jim Harbaugh. And once Jim Harbaugh became available from the NFL, they said, Jimothy, it's time to come home. And when Mama's calling, Jim's answering. So now Jim Harbaugh took the chance to go coach his alma mater and bow it up and all that other stuff. And now he's Jim Harbaugh, Michigan head coach on the hot seat.
And now Michigan's a basketball school. But
can we stop hiring prodigal sons? Looking at you, Nebraska. Looking at you, Michigan.
It's a dicey proposition. In his second go round at San Diego State, as you mentioned, it is not a West Coasty team at all. It is created in Brady's image, which is we're going to pound the ball, and we're going to play excellent defense. Giving up under 300 yards a game, giving up under 16 points a game. The Aztecs win, and the folks in Ann Arbor keep going, maybe, should we have kept him? Maybe. Probably not.
San Diego State is 2-0 in the Pac-12 this year.
That would have them in San Diego State. That'd probably be Pac-12 South. So yeah, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, and they beat the brakes off of Arizona.
Good for Brady. I make fun of Brady a lot, but it's cool to see him. He's a good guy, and it's cool to see him doing this.
He's living his best life. He looks like he's trimmed up.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm enjoying the maximum amount of vitamin D that the human body can maintain because of San Diego's weather. I'm enjoying these fish tacos. I'm living my best life. We're keeping the carbs down. He looks like he could go for a run tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like Brady looks like he's living his best life.
He never looked like that when he was in Ann Arbor. Not once.
No. And you know what my favorite part of this? Because listen, how many casseroles do you think that man had to eat going on recruiting trips?
Daily.
Right? He's recruiting California now. Yeah. He's recruiting California now. It's grain bowls now. So he gets to live his best life. And guess what? Do you know how much pressure he has?
Zero.
None. He has no pressure. He's not expecting to carry 100 years of football history on his shoulders.
Right.
He's like, I just got to win some football games and I'm going to play it in a place with delightful weather. Good for you, Brady.
Yeah. Go get you a boat and chill in the off season and come back and beat the crap out of everybody again next fall. Noon on Saturday. I wish this matchup sort of is what it seems to be in name, but this year, unfortunately, it is not. UCF at Cincinnati. Pardon me, number 3 Cincinnati. UC is favored by 21. The over/under here is 57.5. What do you think about this one?
Cincinnati's too good.
Yeah,
Cincinnati beat the brakes off of Notre Dame. They didn't even look like they put up a sweat against Temple. They look every bit the number 3 team in the country. They are giving up very little on offense, or they're giving up very little on defense. They're putting up a ton of points on offense. They are playing like a top 5 team is supposed to. Right? If I were to say, hey, this team is putting up 41 points per game on offense, 12 points per game on defense. They have 438 yards of offense and giving up less than 300 yards on defense. Who would you say that is? And you would say, oh, it's probably Ohio State or somebody like that. No, that's Cincinnati. Yeah. So I think that's the key difference here is how do you, hold on, I was looking to see where's this? I just wanted to actually see what Ohio State's numbers were, and I can't find the Ohio State game next week.
There's a bye this week.
No, next week.
Next
they
week
play
at Indiana.
That's the ABC game of the week.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Yes.
Why? But let's see here.
Television is why.
Television is why.
Reason.
I can't imagine. There's a whole bunch of people in the middle
that Akron
of Ohio.
was a primetime game.
Let's see. Here's Ohio State's numbers.
Yes.
48.5 points per game.
Yeah.
20 points per game allowed. 562 total yards and 387 yards allowed.
Okay.
There might be some skew in there from the Oregon game, but honestly, Cincinnati is putting up similar numbers to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Ohio State.
There's no question. Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's the key difference here. UCF though.
And so far, you could argue, I think that UC's played better competition. So yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm as much of a homer as anybody, but it might be that at the moment, Cincinnati is the best college football team in the state of Ohio right now.
I mean, they both have the. Hold on, I was about to make a joke there, and I don't know that I can make that joke distinctly yet. Hold on,
Okay.
I need to click one link. Let's see. Oh no, that never mind. I was going to say Ohio State does have 2 more Big Ten wins than Cincinnati does.
Oh, okay. The symbolic thing about this game is that there is UCF national championship gear out there from a few years ago when they went undefeated, and were shut out of the playoff. Cincinnati's in a similar position right now, and the difference is, and I think you and I agreed that they need to not just win out, but they need some style points to stay in the conversation. But they actually have an opportunity, I think, to kick the door down and to really to play for the thing for real. This game should not be a hard one for them, and in fact, it might be another opportunity for a big win and the style points they need to get to the postseason that they want to have, rather than the postseason that UCF had a few years back. This one, AJ, I just included this one totally for you. 10:30,
Yeah, I think so.
10:30 Saturday.
I
Hawaii at Nevada. The Wolfpack is favored by 14. The over under is 61, which is not a crazy number, but we're getting up in the area that makes you happy, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. What do you got?
So I am, for those of you podcasting is a visual medium, I am wearing my beloved Hawaii Rainbow Warriors hoodie.
There will be a screen cap for those who are listening. You'll find one on the Facebook page.
Yes, the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors are off of the Big Island, which means this will likely go poorly for them. There is a different level of play that they have when they are at home, like when they beat Fresno 2 weeks ago. They are a much better team on the Big Island than when they are not there. But you get to watch Hawaii and Nevada play. Nevada has Carson Strong. Carson Strong is going to be playing on Sundays. He is currently he's got 14 touchdowns and 3 picks on the year, and he's thrown for almost 1,600 yards.
Yeah,
Jesus. It's week 7. They are throwing 350 yards a game. They are barely running the football because they don't need to. And Carson Strong he's the guy who you're going to see he's possibly the best quarterback prospect coming out this year.
Okay, and
I say that in Bo Nix's face. I say that in all these other quarterbacks' faces.
Yeah,
Carson Strong is probably going to be the best prospect coming out this year.
Okay.
So you need to watch him now so you can say, man, that was cool. I remember when he was playing in Nevada when they played at 10:30 at night on CBS Sports Network, the network of champions. You need if you want like those cool football hipster points, you got to watch Nevada at 10:30 at night on CBS Sports Network. Yes, this spread is absolutely correct. Hawaii is fine. They're not that good. And this over under seems right. Both teams allowing quite a bit. Hawaii's giving up 437 yards a game.
Yeah.
Nevada's giving up 375 yards a game. So this should just be a straight shootout. And Carson's probably going to fire faster. So
okay.
Chevron Cordero, just listen. I love you, Chevron Cordero. I really do hope that you give the credit you deserve, because your stat line is not giving you that right now.
Okay. My take on this one, the guy who tries to look at games and think analytically would point out that, Hawaii does have a recent win over Fresno State. So maybe the Rainbow Warriors are kind of figuring stuff out. But as AJ said, that's a home game versus something here on the continent. So you take that with a grain of salt. This game is interesting to me because this is what AJ is talking about when he picks the games that he likes to talk about. I think the pick is Nevada, sure. I am rooting for the over, and maybe with a few overtimes. That would be kind of cool. Even if it would keep me up way, way, way past my bedtime, I think it would end up being worth it. Boys and girls, you can hear the Carla and Crappy Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, TuneIn, and several other podcasting hosts. You can watch us on YouTube and on the show's Facebook page. If you like us, please subscribe, rate, review. And if you don't, mind your own damn business. And be sure to come back next week to see exactly how wrong we were. AJ, do you have a final thought?
I do.
Okay.
This week's UConn watch.
Right.
UConn having lost last week to UMass, thus proving that they are the worst team in FBS. It's not even close now. Y'all. Okay. UMass whooped them, and Vandy beat them. So we actually have we've significantly laid down that UConn is the worst team in all of FBS football. They are playing the Yale Bulldogs. The Yale Bulldogs, who beat the Cornell Big Red 23-17 a few weeks ago, just lost to Dartmouth in overtime. But
and so that puts them, middle of the pack in the Ivy League.
Yes, they are 2-2. I'm just going to say this: UConn, watch out. Like, I don't know that UConn can win this game either. And at that point, I feel like you got to shut the program down. Mm-hmm. There's way too much going on here from a UConn. They just look lost as a team. They don't seem like they even care. They had they won against Wyoming and maybe gotten Vandy, I think you could see maybe a turn in their feelings, turn in their emotions around the team. But no, UConn is 0-7. They play Yale this week. Then they play Middle Tennessee. Then they have a bye, and then they play Clemson.
Ooh, we'll have to see if we can get like a bonus pick out of Carla for UConn and Middle.
Yes,
we might be able to finagle that from her. I don't know. We'll
tickets, just so you know, tickets as low as $12 for the Yale game. Tickets as low as $9 for the Middle Tennessee game. Tickets as low as $10. That's at Clemson. So if you want to go see Death Valley, I guess you could go do that. Tickets as low as $7.
Would be cool, actually.
Texas or not tickets as low as $7 at UCF, and tickets as low as $9 at home against Houston. They got Houston to come play them in stores in November. Good for you, whoever the AD is in Connecticut.
Wow. I want to hire that person because they know what they're doing. That's a nice bit of work. And maybe the bright spot in UConn's season. I don't have a final thought per se, but one of the things that I wanted to do, as I had guest hosts on, even though AJ is our Ken Jennings, he is a known quantity. AJ listens to a lot of college football podcasts. When I see AJ and I both live in Pittsburgh. Whenever we see each other in person, he's like, "Did you hear this? Did you hear this?" And I'm almost always like, "No." So I'm gonna pick AJ's brain for just a second, real quick. Your top 3 non-Carla and Crappy Show college football podcasts. Go.
I'm going to start with Split Zone Duo.
Okay.
Split Zone Duo is a really great podcast that came out of the fallen ashes of SB Nation / Banner Society. Originally, it was podcast Ain't Played Nobody with Stephen Godfrey, and then Alex Kirshner, Pittsburgh Zone, and Richard Johnson now carry the banner forward as Split Zone Duo.
Okay.
They do a show during the week where they cover the upcoming week's games, talk about coaching searches and that sort of stuff, because Godfrey and Richard Johnson are fairly plugged into the coaching circles. So you get to hear that sort of stuff, which is always interesting. And then they do a 30-minute what they call whip around show on Sunday, where they go back and forth on the various games and what happened and cover everything for about a minute or two.
Okay.
It's really great. You can sign up for their Patreon where you get bonus episodes on things where they're like, "Hey, this is behind a paywall, so we'll say way more stuff here than we will on public shows." So they're great. I also listen to the Shutdown Fullcast. If you would like
the classic,
the internet's only college football podcast. I'm just on a
wait a minute. What? Wait. I'm kidding.
The internet's only college football podcast. That they say it, and that means it's true. But they have a blast just kind of making fun of college football. You need you get this knowledge that goes into your brain, but then it comes out the other side and it's just kind of goofy. Like this week, instead of covering what's happening this week, they talked about what's the dumbest fist fight you've ever seen or been in, right? So this is the sort of dumb things that helps you turn your brain off, and it's just a good giggle. They also do a show.
I will admit, I approached Shutdown Fullcast with the mindset of a serious college football fan. Although I knew there's humor involved, and it took me 3 episodes where I'm finally just like, screw it, these guys are amazing, and you should listen, and you will accidentally learn things about college football as you go along, while you're laughing for however long the show is. So I also recommend endorse.
If you follow them on Twitter, you will get a notification sometime late on Saturday night. None know the hour. But you will get a notification that they are on their Twitter space, because they record their week in review show at midnight, or as the primetime games end, and it's just all live and back and forth insanity. So games are still happening. Like USC's losing by 40 or whatever. And they're like, oh man, it's really great. Alabama loses and Michigan, Nebraska comes down the wire. Notre Dame, Virginia Tech come down the wire. And there's USC over there just getting their asses kicked in. Like, we love to see it. Thanks USC for making this easier for us. Like that sort of thing. Right. So there's that. And then finally, the solid verbal. The solid verbal are the like OGs of the college football podcasting game with Dan and Ty. I used to listen to them on car trips. I used to drive a lot for work. And so they would have like an hour and a half, 2 hour show. And it's like, okay, cool. Put all that stuff into my brain. They're both incredibly smart. They're both very, very good. They are, I believe they helped promote the Bruce Feldman Stanford body blow theory. Like you play Stanford and then you go play your next game and you're still sore. So the Stanford body blow theory, the letdown look ahead sandwich. So there's a number of different things that they've brought into the world. They were the people who came up with Clemsoning. So in case they came up with Clemsoning,
one of our favorite terms
to bed. Yes, Clemsoning came from the solid verbal. So I highly recommend you go listen to them. Honestly, I don't even turn on ESPN for any of their coverage because it's all stupid and it's always like, what does this mean for the playoff? Because they have to make sure that as many people watch the playoff as possible. Split Zone Duo and Podcast Ain't Played Nobody, the original version, is the reason why I follow the stupid. It's the reason why I watch the scoreboard and look for things like UTSA and UTEP and Coastal and all these other things, because there are 130 teams in FBS football.
Yes.
To focus on the top 8 is very silly when there's 122 other teams that play games and have their own rivalries and have their own things. And when you see that and you feel it, like you see this and what it means to some of these schools to, like Clemson, South Carolina is a low key, hateful rivalry. Like Ohio State and Michigan, y'all are cute. Clemson, South Carolina people truly hate each other. And they needle each other constantly. And for years, there would be back and forths, right? Ohio State's held serve for 20 years now. They occasionally drop a point. But for the most part, it's Ohio State just ruining everything for Michigan.
Yes.
It's what new and interesting way can Michigan lose this game? It's Clemson and South Carolina for years went back and forth. Texas and Oklahoma is the same way. And you can find these rivalries between schools where they truly don't like each other. Like Ohio State and Penn State, again, that's adorable. But like
that's not that game new. Is not Michigan. It is new. I put a lot of emphasis on it because of where I live. And I don't want to have to deal with Penn State fans in my face all year long. So yeah, the Michigan Ohio State's another level. I would quibble with you about the level of animosity. But yeah, I mean, there is so much more out there. And AJ has been awesome in opening my eyes to being a little less myopic about my college football watching. I'm still a Big Ten guy and I will be.
Sure.
But
and you want to follow your conference, and I totally get that because you have a deep fandom to one team. I don't.
But there is so much great stuff. There is so much great stuff out there. In another couple of weeks, when the MAC games start showing up in the middle of the week on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, that's heaven to me. That is awesome. And one of my great joys is when I go out to Columbus to get ready for a tailgate party with my folks. Is whatever game is on Sunday night. I will, we'll do whatever prep work we need to do, and I will sit down and watch that stuff. And AJ, that's largely thanks to you and what you have opened my eyes with and opened my eyes to in the years that you have been on the show. So I appreciate that. It's working for at least one person.
Thanks, Crappy. Yeah. I'm trying my best. If you're out there and you follow a G5 team, know that I'm probably aware of your team, and I've probably watched their games.
Not probably.
I've probably watched your team's games. Honestly, the MAC, because they played during the week, I don't get a chance to watch as many MAC games as I should. In fact, we just missed App State getting obliterated by ULL.
Yes, we're recording on Wednesday night, and that was a beating.
I regret to inform you, App State, that it does not get better because you got to play Coastal next week.
Go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Somebody in the Sunbelt office hates you.
Yeah. Boys and girls, we should all thank AJ for hanging with us for the last 2 weeks. It has been educational and fun. And he will be with us all season with his reports for Pac-12, G5, whatever the hell else happens after the sun goes down, and sometimes before the sun goes down. So AJ, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the help this year, and cheers to you and your hot water.
And my hot water.
And boys and girls, thank you very much for watching once again. Come back. We'll be back here again next week. See y'all.
Bye.
You almost sounded like Carla when you did that. She has this southern thing where she says bye. And I'm like, bye. Where did that come from? You're from Erie.
Bye.
That's it.
Listen, she lived in the South for a very long time. I lived in the South for a little bit. I can pick that up. Bye. Bye. That okay. Honestly,
I'm totally including this in the intro and the end of the show, guys. So thank you. We'll talk to you later.